Hi everyone, welcome back to my next video. Today we're going to meet a good friend of mine, Forrest, and I've known you for 4 years. I would say 5 now.
Yeah.
Oh, has it been 5 years? And Forrest is a true off-road guy. You like off-road, and then since I've known you, how many rigs do you think you've been in since I've known you?
I think we came up with 6.
You counted them out one day and counted up with 6.
Yeah.
And part of that time you've been living in a house too. So
right now I'm living in a shop.
Right, living in a shop, and you are a motorhead. Is that okay to say that?
Perhaps.
Perhaps. You know as much about cars and automotive things as anyone I've ever known. That would be fair. You don't want to toot your own horn, but I'll toot your horn. The guy, you were in the Air Force.
I was a mechanic in the Air Force.
But a little more than just a mechanic.
Well, I was KC-10 crew chief. We flew around the world and performed missions in a pretty big plane.
So crew chief meant you were responsible for the airplane.
Yep.
If it was a mechanical problem, somebody came and talked to you. So
hopefully I found it first.
Yes, hopefully. Well, apparently it never happened, or things would have been different. So you like mechanical things.
After that, I did a stint in racing and rock crawling. So that's more of the fabrication where you put stuff together and come up with a concept, draw it, test it, build it, and test it again. So that's where some of this different stuff comes in, because I'm not afraid to cut it up or build it from scratch.
Right. And that's why we're here today, is because this is your latest creation. And tell us about it.
Her name is Pica, and it's a complete custom build. It started life as a NPR cabin chassis.
Is that Isuzu?
It is.
The Isuzu NPR are the same thing.
Yep. Also extremely common and similar to a Mitsubishi Fuso. Those also come four-wheel drive from the factory. They don't make them in the North America, so I made one four-wheel drive.
Okay, so you bought a used NPR Isuzu truck, and it was no frame even. I mean, you had a frame, obviously.
Frame, but no chassis, no box.
No box at all.
Just bare frames. And then the whole project was built around the forward box. This small black box you see is just for a motorcycle, so very specific size requirements there. And the cab flips forward for ease of maintenance, so you can still have a cab over, but not technically over the cab.
Right. It's so essentially the little black box is a garage.
Yep.
You're carrying your motorcycle, and otherwise you'd have gone with a cab over the cab, or your bed would have been.
Perhaps, but with the flip forward cab,
Oh,
it wouldn't have cleared. You'd have to move it back 4 feet before flipping the cab for maintenance.
So this started out in life as a standard delivery truck you see around town all over.
Yeah.
And you added the four-wheel drive, and you built the box and the garage and the whole thing.
Everything, yep, from scratch.
So you know that's where all your it seems like all you've ever done in your whole life kind of led to this moment of building this.
Perhaps.
With all your experiences. And now I know at one time you started out living in a box truck years ago.
Many years ago, it was a U-Haul truck.
So you went and bought a U-Haul and converted it.
Put basically a wall right in the middle. The back half was garage, rear 12 feet for motorcycles and shifter carts, and then the forward 12 feet was living space.
So really it was that, only this is taken to the logical conclusion of a box truck, four-wheel drive, home, garage, everything.
Yeah.
So that was kind of everything you've done is kind of built up towards really one of the ultimate 4x off-road living in vehicle.
It's a good size. It's definitely bigger than a normal camper, but smaller than a larger RV, to the point where it can go off-road. Like
Right.
the trail we just came up today was pretty tight.
Yeah.
Where you normally take a pickup, but it came up at just fine two-wheel drive.
Right. And you have clearance running of approach and departure angles, and underneath you just have a huge amount of clearance.
Yeah, if the rocks are bigger than that, you wouldn't be in there anyways.
Right. You're not a rock crawler.
No.
And what size is your living then? Quarters?
Technically it's 6 feet long, 16 feet long, tail to tail, but the floor is actually 12 feet long. It's technically 10 feet on the bed, but cheated another 2 feet into that cantilever, which is the rear bench.
Right.
And that wasted triangle is all the electronics and 4 AGMs.
Right. Your battery's there, and you have solar.
Yep, 850 watts of solar.
850 watts of solar. That's a big plus to having a big roof, is you can get a lot of solar up there.
Yeah, definitely.
And you've got a lot of power you're carrying around with you. And when we go inside, we'll go inside, folks, you'll see that it's very open feeling, really open, and all the windows.
The living area away from the more kitchen and sleeping area is just all windows. That's what you can't get in an RV. And for me, I need to blend the outside and the inside to make it home.
Right, because you're an outdoors person.
Yeah.
You're going to be out mountain biking and climbing and backpacking and the whole thing. So it's indoors, outdoors for you.
Absolutely.
Now, with being an Isuzu truck, so the parts must be hard to find.
The only NPR parts left are the cab and the frame, and you don't need spare cabs and frames.
No.
Everything else in the drivetrain is Chevy based. It might as well be a 99 Tahoe or Suburban or pickup. It's just a Vortec 350, 4L80E, and then a Divorce 205 transfer case. So very reliable and extremely common.
So parts are available anywhere, and you can fix anything on it.
In hours. I can pull the engine or drop the transmission anywhere in a couple of hours.
Wow. And you're going to carry the tools, of course, to do that.
Always.
Always. No, you're not going anywhere without your tools.
Nope.
But now, so I am not a mechanic, but if I had one of those, I could find a mechanic anywhere in the world to work on a Chevy 350.
May as well be just a Chevy pickup. It's the most common vehicle you probably find in North America.
The 350, boy, there must be 100 million 350s out there.
No idea.
Who knows? But a lot. You can't walk around a junkyard without seeing a Chevy 350. So, no matter, even if you're not much of a mechanic like you are, with that common parts and drivetrain, you can get it fixed anywhere.
Easy. And a lot of people would balk at the power output's only about 250 horsepower, which is slightly underpowered considering it's a 15,000 pound truck. But I don't carry 15,000 pounds, I carry a 3,800 pound camper. So it's appropriate for what it is, but if you're trying to use it for its original intended purpose as a work truck, probably underpowered.
So would you be about the same as a standard Chevy 350 dually with a camper? You might even be less weight than that.
Perhaps.
About the same?
There's a lot more beef and metal in that. So
Right.
empty, without a camper, without a motorcycle and whatnot, I weigh 7,800 pounds, which is on par with a 1-ton truck.
It sure is. That's on par with a 1-ton truck.
But
And then,
my weight capacity, the size of my brakes, the size of the channel of the frame, everything is much, much bigger.
right. So all in all, it's just really an amazing. It's kind of a tiny house on wheels that can go anywhere.
Basically.
And you've been building tiny houses.
This will be the 4th tiny house I built this year.
And you can definitely call that a tiny house on wheels.
Absolutely. And
Wow.
it comes on and off. It's pinned to the bed through male-female sockets through the bottom. And the legs come out, clock 90 degrees, and go back in the same hole. And you jack up the air suspension, put the legs in, lower the bags, and drive off.
So it can be removed at any time.
Yep.
Wow.
And then you have a work truck with a large toolbox and ready to go work somewhere.
Right. And all your tools are in the garage packed around the motorcycle?
Yeah.
Oh. And you were fortunate to have a boat builder friend who did the interior, and it's gorgeous.
Beautiful. Lou Brochetti. He did all the interior work, came up from Oregon, and worked with me for 3 months on it.
Yeah. And it's beautiful. We'll go inside, folks, and you're all going to want one and say, I want that. That should be the name of this video. I want that. When I saw it, I just thought, oh, I want that. And if you have, obviously you have quite a bit of money into it, but probably surprisingly less than we would think.
I'd be on par with a pickup and a camper of, a 2002 or so. Nothing new. It's not that much money, but it's an incredible amount of time.
Right. But
You could never, retail value on that's around $80,000 to $100,000. It's crazy amount of labor hours, but if you can build stuff, take the time and you can create this for the cost of a used setup.
and it's not a burden for you. I mean, when you just ran into a problem with the steering linkage. Well, that wasn't, for me, that would be, oh, I'd be throwing my hands up and screaming. But for you, that was just, okay, let's fix this.
Redesign it.
Yeah.
10 minutes ago, we didn't have any steering.
This is a test run right now. we lived so far. Because, and it's, if you love what you do, you kind of never have to work.
You work a lot more than you would typically.
Right.
But it's a labor of love. You're putting hours towards something that means something.
Right. And you know every nut and bolt on that rig.
Every single one.
Any problems you ever have down the road, you know exactly what to do to fix it.
And I've been testing extensively to weed out some of these problems because I've never put a Dana 60 in the front of a MPR. That's a different one. Usually that's common in my rock crawling stuff. So the other day we went out and testing, and in fact there's a hill over here that we're overlooking that's pretty nasty road going up to it and has some washout crossings, and we had it up on 3 tires and crazy angles, flexed out, and kept running it until we broke some. We finally broke the steering. And then we found a weak link, redesigned it, and made it 10 times stronger.
Right. And so now you should never have that problem ever again.
No. And I don't intend on ever using it that hard again. So I back off my usage and up the engineering.
Right. Right. Engineer for the very worst,
Yeah.
and then back off the very worst.
Don't use it like that.
Right. And it should have run forever for you.
Yeah. Simple.
Okay. Well, it's just really amazing what you've done. Would you mind showing us around and let us see your rig? Take us inside?
Take a look.
Okay, let's go take a look, folks.